Hello there, baby dolls. You are a fresh grape. You are sitting on a plate by yourself. There is no seed inside you. You are ready for consumption and you are washed already under the tap. Did you know in the Richard Heart ecosystem, to your shock and surprise, the most influential person is Richard Heart himself? What's going on here? He said PulseChain and PulseX was designed to do a 10,000x. You know what we're going to go through today? I'm going to show you how the crowd looked at the information coming in and adjusts it. This is not special to the Hex community or PulseChain community. This happens in Bitcoin and Ethereum. This happens in other asset classes. This is how speculation works. This happens when it comes to lottery ticket buying, music concerts, assets, houses, stonks, commodities, you name it. This is just what happens, okay? So there is nobody more influential in the ecosystem than Richard Heart. Just like in Bitcoin, there was nobody more influential at the beginning than Satoshi. Right now, Ethereum, Vitalik, XRP, Brad Garlic Breath, Cardano, Charlie Boy Hoskinson, Polkadot, you have Gavin Wood, Doge, Elon Musk, you know. It's not even up for question. Nobody is bigger than the founder, not even close, okay? Now, he said PulseChain and PulseX was designed to do a 10,000x. He also said Hex could do a 1 millionx. Now, they are a play on words. You're kind of hedging yourself because could and will, two different stories, all right? Now, so far, the average crowd consensus has been lowering over time. When I speak about the returns that these coins could do, or any other coin for the matter, I know what people will do because I did this at the start, made a mistake. And what they'll do is they'll say, well, if you go back to the Hex price chart, right, you go, well, nobody believed it could do a 10,000x. No one. All right. And it went and it did above there beyond expectations. Remember, everybody was saying, oh, we'll never hit a penny, 1 cent. And then we went up to 50. Okay. Let me tell you something. If no one really believed Hex could do a 10,000x, why were there so many stakers for 10 years at the start? Why? Clearly, a lot of people did believe it was possible. Now, the timing, of course, they didn't really think, oh, wow, in 2 years, I don't really know. But the timing is different. You can't say no one believed, no one thought it was possible, whatever. They were in the system, man. They were in there. That's point number one. Point number two is when you're looking at these expectations, the crowd gets it wrong. But you have to be intellectually honest with yourself. Which side do you want or need the crowd to get it wrong of? Do you want the crowd to think we're going to go somewhere and then go higher? Yes, that's what we all want. Unfortunately, in crypto, I've shown you throughout the cycles with many videos, over time, this has been lowering. So after the first cycles, the chances of breaching upside targets get lower and lower. Not because the product is trash or crypto is bad. It's because you are inviting competition. You invite more people. You invite more models, more mental frameworks. You invite less euphoria. You understand? As time goes on, the technology curve, it's inviting people who see a trend. Okay, they are the people, they're not throwing in lottery tickets anymore. They have formulas. They say, well, you've done X amount of growth. Let me see what happens. When people were just buying in Bitcoin at the start, they didn't care about that. They said, well, this is FU money. I'm going to stick it to the big man. Let's see what happens. Let's just go in. And a lot of people were buying illicit substances as well. They didn't care. All right, so we're in a different game now. It's becoming more mature. Even though we're still early, we're way more mature than before. Got to remind you as well. So Mr. Knight of PulseChain, he says, wrong. Richard never said that PulseChain was designed for 10,000x. No, sir. Unfortunately, you are wrong. He did. We've even got a video clip
here. It's designed with the ability to do a 10,000x, So PulseChain can do a 10,000x. PulseX can do a 10,000x. And Hex can do a million-x. They can. Now, the rate or whether they do or not, that's up to life and chance. But these are well within the realm of possibility.
Of course, friends, we're going to crank it.
A kiss, a cry, our rights, our wrongs.
We're going to crank it. You should know what's been happening. The crowd, friends, the crowd. Nothing to do with me. I'm seeing very salty soy boys with hunchbacks. Their chairs don't squeak. And they are trying to believe that a peanut brain like me shifted the crowd's expectations. So what I've done is, word for word, we're going to go through the series of events of what happened. Luckily, I'm literally here 18 hours a day. That's why you like, subscribe, belly button and all. Don't you just hate those other people who say, go and do the work, go and do the work? No, I'll do it for you. I work for the people. Look at this. Number one, so for all of, look at this chart. This is the Hex chart, okay? So for all of 2022 and the first half of 2023, before PulseChain launched, all right, the crowd's average return expected was 500x to 1000x for Pulse and PulseX from day one stack. I go back and check the surveys. I remember them. I was in shock. I was like, oh, wow, 500x. That's pretty cool. If it stays like this, we could still get a 150x. That's what I was still thinking in my mind, okay? So the highest volume node I remember from the surveys was about 500x. So it was in the 500 to the 1000x, all right? And this was very interesting. This was before the launch, all right? They also, I remember this, everyone expected Hex to be 25 cents by the end of 2023. That was the average. All right. So you can, this is enormous ratio shifts. But then what happened? Look right here. See this? Then PulseChain launched. So let's look what happens. In May 2023, PulseChain launched. As you can see it here, see this arrow? PulseChain launched. But then Pulse, PulseX, and Hex start crashing. Yes, unfortunately, that's what happened. We saw it right now. They launched off low liquidity. Everyone said, don't worry, it was a low liquidity thing. And then we went bang. All right. And we were just hanging around here. As you can see, it was poop. Now, PulseX was the one that was hurt. Look where the horizontal line is. This is where day one sack is. So nothing's happened yet. Okay. You just naturally, it goes down. And why? Well, I know why. I was here. I have all the information here for you. Because you're a single grape, remember, no seed. One, people were emphatically complaining, okay? No Richard Hart streams, all right? And they were angry at the public promotion. There was none, all right? There was no flair. There was no interviews and debates. What they were expecting, so what people were expecting was, okay, maybe there's crypto banter, there's an interview with Ivan, maybe Biddy Boy, just things are happening. There was none of that. Full silent, all right? There was also complaints that there were no limit orders. There was no single side staking. Okay, now I don't care about these, all right? I don't care about his promotion. I don't care about the limit orders or the single side staking. That's not, but I am not the people. The people cared about these. You understand? Everyone cared about these. What else? He rug pulled the EHEX farm. All right, now, this is something that's sensitive. Why? I cared about it. Now, people think I cared about it because I was long EHEX. No, I didn't care about it. Why I cared about it was when you talk about Hex, you're talking about superior game theory and it's bulletproof and the people are locked in long term and the yield makes up for everything, okay? So it was a contradiction to see EHEX farm get pulled or get on PulseX, right? So it was a contradiction to see it disappear because you're like, wait a minute. If you had an EHEX, so Hex from Ethereum farm on there, why should that be an emergency concern for the system? Because it's supposed to have the best game theory, okay? But this new carrot on the stick was so good that everybody within the system was emergency end staking and dumping. Now, it is what it is. You can't like really go back in time and do anything, but unfortunately, that's how the cookie crumbled, right? So this is something you just have to wrestle with. You go, wait a minute. If it was so shiny and great, why is that a threat? So that made people question. Of course, not even theory. Of course, they question it. They go, oh, EHEX. Yeah, people are emergency end staking. That's why they kept dumping the EHEX PX lows. As you can see here, right? As you can see, they just kept dumping EHEX, smack, okay? That's the unfortunate reality about what was happening. Now, coupled with this, there was a favoritism. So Richard Hart, he pulled the EHEX yield farm, doesn't say anything about it. Then he does the PRC 20 experiment. Now, this is, people don't talk about this, but friends, the biggest talking point of PulseChain was it was meant to be the best casino. That was what 2022 marketing for it was. So people sacrificed into PulseChain and PulseX for this. Now, I didn't, but I know many people did. And what I mean by that is there were peppy yield farms. There was wrapped BTC yield farms. You have all these, okay? And they were the PRC 20s, the P peppy, the P uni, right? And the theory that Richard Hart had was he's going to invite all the liquidity from Ethereum and vampire attack it. And the incentives and the yields are going to be so good that people are just going to be bridging over and they're going to be trading around and everyone's going to win, okay? Because he said, well, people are just muppets and they just want to gamble on ticker symbols. They don't even know what they're gambling on. Now, when it started happening, it was okay. Then it fell on its bum. And it wasn't vampire attacking anything at all. I've even made videos and posts here to show you the liquidity was not coming into the system even after the launch. All right, that's why Richard kept toggling the yields. He was trying to move the yields around, or whoever's in control, the magical squirrel who's in control. So you might not have seen this being talked about, but I know people talking about this behind closed doors because they're talking about it to me, right? Because they're saying, yeah, this experiment. You know how I know this, friends? People who sacrificed. I got people followed me who don't like Richard Hart at all. But they heard me talk about, if his system works, it'll be never before seen because this PRC thing, people think that they want to own a coin, but they just want to gamble on a coin. And if it works, it'll be like never before done success. So they went in on that. And they, obviously, God bless their hearts, vigorously reminded me of what I was saying back in 2021 when Richard was talking about it. And I was like, oh yeah, well that experiment ain't working, is it? They're not coming in. They're not playing in P uni, all right? So what we've actually found now, friends, is there's so many altcoins, people just want to buy new ticker symbol, new trash. Sad, but that's what it is. So we've already forked old coins like P uni and P link, but guess what? The new degen don't care about them because there's 30,000 other new coins. Peppy's already old. We're already moving into, there's this new AI thing, Grok and Grok coin, all these other trash coming around. That's what people want. So these coins that were hot and new, sexy altcoins that were forked from PRC 20 land, from the PulseChain launch, well, they're not sexy and cool anymore. All right. But look, the experiment's not done. Technically, if they keep updating, say, Uni or P or Chainlink, maybe the P versions of them move, but it's not happening right now, as you can see, right? We didn't see a P-Link narrative move when Chainlink got Swift announcement and all these, okay? So, and this is the experiment. This is not me guessing. Richard Hart, he even tweeted, he goes, sometimes you got to try stuff and you got to figure out the things. He mentioned this in a tweet a few months ago, all right? There was also the incorrect yield display on PulseX where everyone was like, oh my gosh, you're not really a finished product, right? So all these things put together, now you see what was happening. Okay, so this is after the PulseChain launch. Remember, they first had a 500x expectation from day one sack. Now these things happen. And then in June, so before the SEC, see this yellow arrow? In June, the crowd's expectation results. it was no longer 500x. It dropped to a 100x. That was the average. That's the average, friends. Remember, you take like 5,000 people. Yeah, some people are going to say a 10,000x. Other people say 0. They all even out. It was the biggest volumes areas were about 100x from day one sack. All right. But then what happens next? July 31st, the corrupt SEC. So Gary Gensler, the semen demon, he stops chugging semen for 5 minutes to make an announcement, and he tweets that the corrupt SEC is coming after Richard Hart for investor fraud, which is a load of BS because you can't misappropriate funds you were never really entitled to in the first place. All right. So then the HEX price crashes 60% with everything else. Okay, so everything gets ravaged here, bang, 69%, 70%. It's huge, right? So the crash happens, total HEX hits minus 98.2%. Okay, so that was one of the kickers. And then that on the chart here, I know we all love looking at linear, at log, yes, friends, but everyone looking at linear, they don't see a log chart. You understand? Sell it to them all you want. They're not going to look at it. This is the exact price at 98.2%. Okay, so what I've done is I've stopped it at total HEX. Total HEX hit less than 1 penny. All right, so you can actually look at combined HEX. You can see here. Here it is. Total HEX went below 1 cent, and there we go. So after all these, the bruising and the battering, and also expectations, because look, everybody sacrificed because they thought they were going to skip the bear market. They think, okay, we're going to time the launch, and Bitcoin's recovered, which is true, friends. Remember, Richard Hart launched Bitcoin, launched PulseChain. Bitcoin did a plus 100% rally from its low. All right, plus 100%, bang. I was the only person on Twitter, still to this day, I was the only person on Twitter who said the bear market's done. Confirmed. Because Bitcoin has never ever had a plus 100% rally off its lows during the bear market with it still being a bear market. It's over, okay? It never goes and make a new low after that point. All right, and then it was launched. Unfortunately, it didn't mean anything for us because Bitcoin goes up plus 100%, but we get cranked. Don't worry, friends. There's still hope. Now, as you're cranking away, you process all this information. What does the crowd then do? Now they lowered the expectation to a 100x from today, which is a 65x from day one sack for Pulse. So remember, we started at 500x. You understand? We started at 500x, and then it goes to 100x. Then after the SEC, it drops to 65x for Pulse, 20x for PulseX. That's where we are today. Nothing to do with me. Nothing to do with, it's the universe or somebody did a TA on the chart. No. All these events, one after each other, that's what did it. Okay. Now, here's the thing. Let's be honest. If you want to give Richard Hart credit for the 10,000x, that's if you want to do that. Well, I want to ask you, well, as he's the most influential person in the ecosystem, who do you say had a role to play for the targets going the way they are? Because you have to be consistent with this. You can't say, well, he only matters on the upside. He's got nothing to do with the downside. It doesn't really matter at the end of the day. The tribe is going to believe the tribe leader, okay? For example, when Bitcoin goes up, you know the Bitcoin maxis, they said the only reason why Bitcoin goes up is because Satoshi refused to change the money supply and he didn't put anything to do with smart contracts or any of this other trash. They actually say that. Is it true or not? Who cares? It doesn't matter, okay? It doesn't matter. Me and you, we can't change anything anyway, all right? So this is where we are today. That's what's been happening, all right? The market, man, the market's smart, man. You're not stupid, fans. I've got a peanut brain, but you guys, I've seen you guys got some very normal sized brains. You see this information, you have PTSD, you didn't sell the top. There are people who had to go back to work. There are people's family members saying, You're an idiot. You're going to sell next time, right? You're going to sell, and it's going to be weighing on them. There's people who are friends. There's people who have to sell cars, move houses. This bear market trapped a lot of people. A lot, right? So that's why the average market participant, as things you go through the passage of time and the expectations are like, oh, I was kind of expecting much better and I don't really. Well, they're lowering their rewards. They're not just saying, oh, I don't feel good, let's just drop it down. Okay, things are actually happening. They're progressing through time. That's how they're processing it, right? So it's not coming out of nowhere. So in a nutshell, you speak to everybody. So this isn't me. I don't care. I'm going off the crowd. I know the crowd's going to lose. So what I think doesn't really matter. It's not what I think doesn't matter. What I know is the crowd's going to lose. Okay, not everybody's retiring. I don't care what market it is. I know how markets work. You know how thin it is. That's the game, all right? But polls, surveys, comments, everywhere. 1, there's no Richard Hart streams. That's one big reason. But 2, features missing. People want limit orders. People want single-sided stake. That's what you just want, okay? People just want more upgrades. Well, now you know, friends, I kept telling you, if I was Richard, I wouldn't release anything for this whole year. Just slowly drip out limit orders, slow updates in 2024. Just people want something to look forward to. All right. Also, a big factor was the price got butchered within 6 months. Now, this was super important because the average crowd expected it was the range between 10x to 100x in the first 6 to 12 months for PulseX by the end of the year. All right. So I remember there were different ones. There was like the options in the surveys was like negative 50%, right? There was negative 50%. There was 0. There was 10x to 100x. And there was, like 1,000x, okay, or whatever. And everybody was in 10x to 100x profit for the first 6 months expectation. Instead, we are minus 90%, minus 80%. Or if you're looking at PLSX, PulseChain, PulseX, okay? So that's where the majority of people are. And friends, you can't just look at Pulse and say, well, Pulse is doing well. Yeah, Pulse only has a small subsection of the Hex and PulseX community. Pulse didn't have everybody that put in. It's the smallest unit, but it's done the best, right? So that kind of tells you of the people who got in, the people in Pulse have actual diamond hands. They see the value. You understand that? It's giving you information here. It's got the least amount of people that were able to put in at the start, and people want to get in. So that's something useful. So where does that leave us? Well, at the end of the day, of course, where does that leave us? Well, it leaves us in a pickle. The pickle is because we don't know where Bitcoin's going to stop. We have no idea. We don't know how the court case is going to go. We don't know any of these things. But what I do know is the crypto fundamentals are still strong. Remember why everyone's here. You remove middleman. You want real DeFi. All these positive things are still going. All right. Now, of course, I want to know too. Oh, where's it going to go? How high is it going to go? I don't know. But I'm telling you, man, the crowd's expectations, very important because it tells you where they think it's too high. Don't you want to know that? Everyone says, I'm bullish. Okay, yeah, but how bullish to where? Oh, you're bullish 100x now. Okay, that means you won't buy above 30 to 50x. Means you never buy at 100x, okay? But at the end of the day, don't forget this too. One Richard Hart tweet, and all he needs to do is literally type this. I'm not joking. He'll say, Hex did 10,000x in the last bull market. PulseChain was designed to do 10,000x. That's it. That's all he needs to do, friends. All he needs to do is say this tweet on the green candles, and suddenly you wipe your hands with your friend Somi here. You go, you know what? Screw him. He doesn't know anything. He's a peanut brain. I know this is going to happen, by the way. This is 100% going to happen because it's too obvious for it not to happen. So that's something you've got to be aware of. The only question is, are you going to do anything about it? That's what it comes down to. Make sure you like, subscribe, belly button all. I do love and appreciate you. Catch you very soon.